Summer acting programs at the Maggie Flanigan Studio introduce actors to the Meisner Technique. In this video, Brody Redman talks about how he first heard about the Meisner Summer Intensive, how the acting program changed his audition experiences, and what it has been like training online with the studio.
I thought, even after training in undergrad, I always had this idea that acting would be easy. You just sing pretty and you show the people what they want to see. In reality, after digging deeper into the work, it's like so much more exciting than that, and it's so much more than that. Acting is an art form. It's not just a means to sing or a means to do a show. It's a true art form. It was really, really exciting. It was really, really scary. I started it on blind faith based off of a couple reviews I got. One from a day job where basically I was done with auditioning. I was in a total rut, and I worked 10 hours a day as a receptionist at a medical office. All the patients were actors. They would come in, they would sit in the lobby, they would be talking to their agents on the phone, they would be talking to each other, and all I did was listen. An alumni of Maggie Flanigan came in. She was talking about a little bit about the technique, and I thought, wow, I don't know anything. And then I met someone else who worked at the studio. I was like, okay, I need to jump into the summer intensive. It's cliche, but I'm like a different person. I grew up in the Midwest. We put on this like facade. Yeah, everything's good. Yeah, everything's fine. I moved through life with that facade, and it always worked for me. When I started with Charlie and Maggie Flanigan in the summer intensive, he knew exactly what that was, and he knew exactly how to teach me to get out of that rut. I learned how to really listen. We all say we can listen. We all say, oh yeah, I'm listening to you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm listening. But really what you're doing is you're thinking of what you're going to say next. He really taught me how to put the focus on someone else. You might think you know how to do that, but you don't really know how to do that until you really train. This technique taught me how to daydream again, like I did when I was a kid. I know something's going to happen, but I don't know what it's going to be. I just know I want to be an artist. And then I lost that, but I found it again studying with Charlie. It's just such a beautiful technique that when you're feeling lost or you're feeling stagnant or you're feeling maybe you're not talented enough, no one wants you because of X, Y, and Z. You know, perhaps it's just that you haven't found the right technique. And that technique for me was Meisner. So I'm laughing because it's like night and day. If I saw, we want to see monologues, I would say, oh, I don't have a monologue, and I wouldn't go to the audition. I was afraid that I didn't have the skills to go to a play audition. So I went to musical theater auditions, but the acting ability, I just didn't feel like I was prepared for. So I would get sides for musical theater auditions. I wouldn't memorize them. I would sing pretty or whatever, and then they would say thank you. And I usually wouldn't get the job, and I didn't know why. The feedback I would get would be, well, you sound great, but you weren't what we're looking for. After training with Maggie for a while, I realized it's because I wasn't prepared. And by prepared, I mean trained, right? So if you're trained to prepare, then it's easier to prepare because you know what you're supposed to do. If you go into an audition, you get sides and you're like, well, I guess lightning will strike if I, just say the lines, right? Or if I have an objective and I have, tactics and all these things that we were taught in undergrad, we think that, oh, okay, well, maybe lightning will strike and it'll be a good scene without really knowing why or how. Now I know that like there's so much more work to put into it, but I know how to go about it. And that's like priceless. And when you get to a certain point, everybody is talented. What sets people apart is that talent shouldn't be a crutch. Talent is something that is like a catapult for you to then build upon, right? It's a foundation. Also, what I've learned is people who are not naturally talented sometimes do better because they work harder and they don't rest on the talent. And that's something I was doing. I was resting on my singing. And then it got to a certain point where I started seeing the same people at the same auditions with the same outcome. And then I started hanging out with those people, right? People who are also in the same purgatory. This chip on your shoulder starts to appear where you're saying, well, it's the business. It's not me, it's this. And then people get stuck there. If you don't find a studio like Maggie Flanigan and you don't find a technique that works for you, if you just keep taking casting director classes, but without training, all you're doing is showing those casting directors how untrained you are. COVID, right? You know, you go through the first part of the quarantine where you're like, how much wine is too much wine? Going from this beautiful in-person experience to feeling the energy of other actors, feeling this emotional prep, feeling these circumstances and these relationships, and then going to Zoom. It feels like we're in the same room, but like I could click off whenever I want. You know, there's nothing keeping me here. That's hard. After a while, you want to get up on your feet. You want to use your body. Our industry is headed in this direction anyway. Like the industry has realized, oh, Zoom is awesome for this. I can see them on screen. I don't have to pay for a room. I don't have to pay for the space, the time, everything. I don't have to bring a lot of actors physically into a space. It makes more financial sense as a business to do it this way. After I kind of clicked and realized that, I turned a corner. I almost quit because I was afraid of being successful because of the responsibility it will bring on, and a fear of finishing because once something's done, it's done. And that's terrifying to me. But the training has taught me, Charlie is the main person who's taught me what is there to be afraid of success. When you're trained and you can build on that training, then you're ready for that responsibility. Nobody ever feels ready. And also money. I mean, money is this like thing that we are all striving for, but also we hate. What changes did I have to make? Because it was either quit and save the money or making changes in my financial life. So I moved from New York down to Florida to be near my family. I took 2 part-time jobs and I live more frugally. You're only going to get so far if you don't train. The stories of people being successful without real training and maintaining long careers mostly are myths. The best acting looks effortless. And so a lot of people think, oh, acting's easy. I'm just really talented and it'll show in the work, right? There's a lot going on inside of me. I have a lot of surface emotion. Ooh, I'm going to cry here. Oh yeah, they're going to love it. Yeah. And then you get into the room and you're like, Merp. You're just like, oh, maybe they just didn't like me because I remind them of their ex. It's just like a total mind game. And in reality, it's just because you're not trained. A lot of undergrad programs, there's such like a variety that there isn't really specific training. Their job is to teach you different ways of working so you can choose the way that works for you. Why not try a very focused, specific style of training and see if it works for you? Like in a summer intensive, like I did. For 6 weeks. Why not go for 6 weeks and really focus on the craft instead of doing a 6-week workshop where nobody really knows what it's for? I love Charlie. I hope he knows that. Tough love, definitely. I got by on charm and got by on this like facade. He saw that, he understood it, and he didn't buy it. And that's the best thing I could have ever been taught. For somebody to take you in and for you to spend money on an experience, on a training, and for them to coddle you, I think that's doing a disservice. They're wasting their time and the student isn't learning. He doesn't do that. He doesn't coddle. He doesn't take any BS. He calls you out when you're not prepared, which is something that was a real awakening for me. You go in the 6-week intensive and you're like, I'm prepared. And then he's like, you are not prepared and here's why. And then you're like, of course. And it's like a whole learning experience. He cares so deeply about his students. I mean, like when he sees good work and he sees that you're learning and trying, and even if it's not good work, but he sees how hard you're working, you see the pride on his face, right? He is proud of you. That to me, and he doesn't give away compliments. So he's not like, great work. That was awesome. Wow. He's like, you're on the right track. It taught me to not seek approval from directors, from everybody. I am not here to seek your approval. I am here to show you my art, to collaborate with you on this. And he creates that environment in class. Being in a studio like Maggie Flanigan, working with a teacher like Charlie, or like Karen, or like Sarah Faye, oh my God, I love, like working with them, you learn not just how to act in a specific way, you learn how to exist in this business. You learn how to say, I know my work was good, or I wasn't prepared enough. I know my work could be better. You know how to tell. If you're coddled, you need someone else to tell you if you were good or not. Community is everything already in what we do in our business. The family that's created at Maggie Flanigan, like before the pandemic, was beautiful. But as we moved through it and we all worked through that grief of the initial lockdown together, we got so close. We became closer than I thought we would. These relationships that we're creating, they will go for the rest of our careers. It's money. And if you invest in your career in other ways, if you're getting new headshots before you even know how to act, if you're getting reels made before you even know how to act, like specifically, if you are going to these casting director workshops and nothing comes from them, if you're going to these auditions, you're not really booking the roles you want, if you're feeling unfulfilled, why not? Why not go to it's 6 weeks. You'd be doing the casting director workshop anyway. You might go to 6 weeks of auditions and not book a single one and wake up at 5 a.m. every day and be exhausted. And what do you have to show for it? You're giving your time for free to these things or paying for them already. So why not divert that investment to a 6-week intensive and just see how it goes? It's 6 weeks and some money. You're never too old. Coming from this background of undergrad and then auditioning for a long time, working for doing some fun jobs, doing some tours, doing all that, but never feeling really fulfilled, made me feel ashamed. And so that's what kept me from finding this training for so long. I felt a lot of shame and I felt like I can't do it. There's something wrong with me. And then I realized, wait, this is all I can do. I'm not really good at a lot of other things. I'm okay at a lot of things. And this is but I don't want to do any of them. And then this is the thing that I didn't feel prepared to do, but I really, really wanted to do. Am I too old? I think of it as being oh, well, what is my casting? How will I grow into my casting? How will I grow into my brand? How much time do I actually have? Age doesn't really matter if you have a clear trajectory. If you're oh, I'm too old because I want to play daughters, or I want to play, the young person. I still want to play the young person really badly, and now I'm too old. Wait, well, no, I am older. I can't play those roles anymore. So I just have to rebrand myself. Age doesn't matter as long as you're alive and you want to be an artist and you're feeling like you're not trained enough in a specific way, then what do you have to lose? So why not take 2 years or just 6 weeks and
learn more about the Meisner Summer Acting programs at the Maggie Flanigan Studio by visiting the website for the studio. Actors interested in applying for acceptance into the acting programs at the studio can call 917-789-1599.